Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Hello, what is up? I'm Jared Welch, he's Aaron Halterman. It's Thursday, May 22nd, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, my man?
Yeah, what's up, man? Should be a good show today for sure. A lot went on. It's gonna be fun to recap this thing. What a Preakness, what a Triple Crown we've had so far, and one good one to go that we'll talk about as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I was busy Saturday, so I wasn't able to watch the race. I did just see the chart. What did I miss anything? I mean, was it just pretty boring or what?
Yep, pretty straightforward race. You know, journalism by a half length, like we all thought over Gosker.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the chart, I was a little surprised that Gosker got second, and they only beat him by a half. But other than that, pretty normal running. Nothing major, right?
Yeah, nothing happened. No, nothing
Holy
at all.
Shit.
Yeah, he was just a little tired from that 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been talk about just when horse racing is like, this is gonna be boring. This is gonna be straightforward. It's like, no, hang on a second. Yeah, you can get the Derby winner, but we don't care. We're gonna have one of the most controversial Preaknesses, at least most entertaining. I mean, there's whatever side you're on, you can't disagree that it was entertaining as hell. And the actual, just kind of forget the idea of what happened and what whichever side you're on. Again, the fact that horse did that. Journalism, that is, it was really a spectacular wow performance.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, you just don't see that happen very often, as in hardly ever, where a horse loses all kind of form, all kind of momentum, I should say, gets stopped, gets through, regathers himself, and then says, oh, there's a horse up there several lengths ahead. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to go get him. So it was a race of a lifetime for him. He showed that he really is a very, very good horse to do that. And it was just super impressive to see him put his head down, that last, let's say, 16th of a mile and go get Gosker. Sure, Gosker was slowing down a bit, but man, still to run that horse down was truly incredible, truly a performance we're not going to forget for a long, long time.
And it's been, for those of you that tuned into the live here with me, let's just call it like it is. It was not a good call by me, but when I watched it back, I mean, I basically stopped talking from the moment the crowding started at the top of the stretch, and it literally was like a hold your breath type of stretch run. And even if you'd listen to Larry Collmus's call, which was fantastic, by the way. And by the way, when he's not scripted, he's the best ever, when it's like he's watching it with us, which applause or kudos to him for actually being able to call the race whenever something's crazy is happening. Cause I'm like, I couldn't talk because you're just like, holy shit, is he going down? What happened? Oh my gosh, he's coming back. And then, so there's like so much to unpack just in that short little, 15 seconds, 10, 15 seconds. So, it really was an incredible race. It's not how you drew it up, and it took us a while, man. You and I were both live on separate shows, and it took us a while. I mean like days to really kind of digest everything and understand, or at least attempt to understand what it is we saw.
Yeah, for sure. I'll start with Collmus. It was a classic call, and that's when he is at his best, when he's just watching the race and reacting to it. And The reaction was great. And I think he kind of embodied our whole thoughts of he gave the call pretty much, oh my gosh, he just got, kind of murdered down there, and this thing is over for him, to, okay, he's running on, but it's not going to do it, to, oh my God, he may win. He did win. So yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking too. When it all went down, I'm sitting there thinking, boy, that's just sad. I hope he's okay. And he's going to finish third. And then when he gets going again, in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking, where's the wire? Obviously we watch races of Pimlico, but you don't watch it every single day. And so you're not real privy to where that thing's at, if you're watching it at a regular track. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, please let him get there. Don't let him lose this thing by a half length or something, and it really just be disgusting. So but yeah, the thrill of kind of seeing him get his footing and re-rally and with each stride going, oh my God, he may win this race, it was just something I'll never forget. I was just trying to stay composed and just trying to will him to the wire at that point.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you've followed. We both have followed racing for a long time now, and I can't think of any kind of situation like that. Here's the thing: like jockeys and trainers will make excuses, and whether or not, I'm not going to get into whether it's valid or not. And I think it is. Like when a horse gets stopped, meaning the horse loses stride in the turn, right, or even going like that far back, meaning something that happened that far back in the race is still a worthy excuse sometimes. Like, hey, he could have ran better, but he got stopped, and then he had to rerun. You know what I mean? This horse did it. This horse did it in the middle of the stretch. And not just that. It wasn't like the horse he had to run down was half a length ahead of him at that point. He was. Well, I mean, it felt like 5 lengths. I don't know how far ahead he was exactly, but it felt like he was quite ahead of him. Yeah, he was. He was up 5 lengths. I just looked at it, and to run him down like that is just, it was insane. And we'll get into the show, guys, or as we get into the show, we'll go through it all. And most importantly, I think that what happened and who's at fault and who should have been at fault. And man, Halterman, you and I have talked about this. Have you ever seen in racing something like, I mean, I want to say clear as day, but it clearly isn't. But something that's visually, we have multiple camera angles. It's not like it was the 4th race at Colonial on a Tuesday or whatever. You know what I mean? You have like the one simulcast angle to look at. You had multiple angles. You had an overhead. You had different angles, and have so many people. And there's the idiots out there that are gonna, but the like people you respect, meaning John White, Steve Asmussen, for example, have such different views of it.
It's truly crazy. Yeah. And I that is a good way to put it. There's people I respect that have jobs in racing where they are to call this kind of situation, having different views. And, that has kind of caused me as someone that, yes, I watch a lot of racing, but I have never had a job where I have to call, is this, a foul or not, so it's caused me to kind of just have a neutral opinion of it, because I'm like, if Steve Asmussen says one thing and John White says another thing, and they're both watching the same race and they've got different opinions, well, who am I to stand up and say, well, I know for a fact this happened? That's 2 guys that I wouldn't want to argue with, right? So it's kind of made me, I have an opinion, we'll talk about it, but I can kind of, if somebody's got a different opinion of mine on this certain situation, I can listen and hear about it and say, hey, you might be right, because there's just so many different outlooks on this thing. It's hard for me to get on here and say one or another is absolutely 100% correct.
All right, guys, let's get into it. Beating around the bush here. We're going to get into the exciting win. And again, I want to make sure we stress that, let's not forget, how insane this win was by him. Yep. Because he was the best horse. There's no arguing that. It sucks that we do have a situation where it's like, well, should he have been DQ'd? You made a funny statement to us privately in our group chat with John. It's like, it's one of those situations that I wish that the jockey could be DQ'd, but the horse would stay up.
Yeah.
Let him, he doesn't get any of the earnings, but let's be clear. There's one person that got that job done that day, and it sure as hell wasn't the jockey. It was the horse. But no, so we'll talk about the race. We'll talk about the controversy that happened with journalism and goal oriented and clever again, and all those horses there at the top of the stretch. And then we'll look at the after all that, we'll put it to bed, so to speak, and we'll look at the Belmont Stakes. All things moving ahead, we might have a rematch of the top 2 as well as the trifecta of the Kentucky Derby. So it's looking up to be a hell of a rubber match potentially at Saratoga for the Belmont. Let's go. Yeah, let's keep fingers crossed, guys. We can get journalism to the race, because he's really and it's one of those things where you're like, I don't even blame them at all if they don't want to go, because that was a hell of an effort. Two races in a row. Sovereignty got to skip. But let's hope we do. Let's hope he's okay, and let's hope we do, because that would shape up to be just an unbelievable Belmont.
Yeah, it definitely would, and that's the hope. If shit, if he doesn't go, I don't know what that race is really going to be. So hopefully he does. But yeah, look, I think we're gonna. I'll say my word. Where I'm gonna have some strong words for Rispoli. I think that's just. I don't know. We'll save it though.
Yeah, I think you and the rest of everywhere has strong words for him. So
yeah, the one strong opinion I'm gonna have involves him, and then I'll tell you my opinion on the other situation. That's I would listen to somebody if they had a different opinion. Put it that way. But
okay. On Saturday of the Preakness, we had quite the eventful running of the Preakness 2025, and journalism got the job done. If you look at it on paper, it kind of seems sort of straight on. Hey, he got a little trouble, he got through, he went, boom, he won. If you watched it, it was a different story. So journalism, second in the Derby, wins the Preakness. He's already shipped to Saratoga, so we'll see if he does end up entering into the Belmont Stakes, but. Let's just fast forward, Halterman, to really, let's start with, I think you got to start with like midway through the backstretch, because that's where things started to get interesting. And I say that because it was kind of a ripple effect, meaning journalism did not seem to be running great midway through the backstretch. And you can watch the replay. Rispoli's kind of getting after him. He's having some issues. I don't know if the issues is the right word, but he's having some issues getting the horse kind of into the race, so to speak. And Halterman, I'll let you kind of touch on that for a second, because you noticed it too during the live, and even Colmus did. But that's kind of where it started, meaning I think Rispoli maybe made a decision to go inside because he thought he didn't have the horse that day.
I think you're right. So if you're watching midway up the backside, he starts riding journalism fairly hard, a hand ride, fairly hard. And Rispoli said after the race, he just wasn't traveling very well. So he wanted to see, hey, is he just kind of too relaxed, kind of, lack of a better term, but kind of lazy right now? Or is he empty and I need to just kind of ease up on him? Jerry, it took him a bit to get him going. So I thought that was actually a good move, because the one thing you don't want is to just let him drop back. I mean, so he got him in the race, and I thought that was a good move. And I was very concerned when I saw that, because a lot of times when you see that, a horse is empty and we're in big, big trouble. So I was very concerned. And then I think you're right. But here's the deal. He starts to tip him out. He's going to have to get outside of one other horse, and that was River Thames, and he's going to have a clear run. And I think you're right. I think he panicked a bit because he still wasn't sure he had enough horse, and he ducked to the inside. And that's where a horrific decision almost costs this horse everything.
I mean, that's where it all started. And he even made mention of it, like that once he started to make his move on the inside is when his ears kind of perked up and he's like, oh, here he comes, which is kind of like, it makes me question, like, he's rode this horse his whole career, or the horse's career. Like, does he not know, like, that the horse maybe had, like, could he not feel that there was some horse there? It's weird. It's like a panic move. I've seen a lot of comments about this from multiple people, and it was kind of like it was like he was riding a 10-1 shot and not the even money favorite. You know what I mean? Like if he's 10-1, you're like, hey, I got to make everything count here. I got to cut every corner. I got to get everything I can do to get this horse. In that case, it's like, hey, get him out, let him run his race, outside. Don't get in any trouble. It's a 9-horse field, 8 other horses. It's like, come on. So it felt like a panic move. A lot of people have commented about how he rides the horses like he's in turf racing, which obviously he's from and kind of known for, and maybe that's the case as well. But okay, so let's pass forward to that. So he's made the move now. He's gone to the inside. Now, here came the second ripple effect, in my opinion. Clever again seemed to be traveling. And he, again, another comment. I read a lot of the interview stuff and the kind of press conference after the fact. And Rispoli made mention of this as well, that he kind of made the assumption, even before the race, that Clever again was the horse he needed to follow, right? That was the horse. And I mean, everything on paper, like, obviously was not the second choice of the race. Like, he ran a disappointing race regardless of the bump, right? Or whatever, like, for sure. So he was assuming, hey, I'm just going to go inside, boom, right behind him. Well, oh shit, Clever Again is coming back to me now. What do I do now? And then that's where the second part happened.
Yeah, I heard that the plan was to follow Clever Again, and then once Clever Again got clear, then he was going to tip out and go past him. That was kind of his thought process. And again, I I guess you say that out loud and you go, yeah, no, that makes sense. But it's like, what happens if he doesn't ever clear? You're still stuck. You can still look up and see 3 horses lined up right in a row ahead of you. What are you going to do if they all stay the same? What are you going to do if he just narrowly gets by him and you never get through? What are you going to do if he backs up? And why, if you're riding a horse that's starting to gain momentum, do you not just keep him in the clear and give him a clear run? So I get what he's saying, and that's all good and well and makes sense. But like you just pointed out, then the disaster starts when Clever Again decides he's going to start backing up. Now, how hard was he going to ultimately back up? I don't know. I don't know that he would have finished 9th. I don't think he's going to, finish top 4 either, somewhere in the middle. But when he started to back up, then it starts. And then it's like, okay, how tight is goal oriented to Clever Again? And the answer was he left about the width of a horse, because that's a hole that Alberto tried to, or did go through. And then it's this debate of, did goal oriented come in? Did journalism come out? And that's the wild thing, where people are watching the same replays. We're all watching the same thing, and everybody's got a different opinion on what happened next.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. This is where the controversy really started. And, it's like, okay, so he cut in or just to the outside, I guess, of Clever Again. Once that would happen, and there sits goal-oriented. Gosker is kind of none the wiser. And Luis Saya is just like, hey, see you later. It's like, you guys deal with that. I'm going.
Left him.
Yeah. And so he's not in the picture. Well, he's in the picture, but he's not part of the scuffle. And here's where I sit with it all. The first bump, and I mean, I'll just be honest. Asmussen says, and a lot of people have said that it's when the reason he cut in was because he bumped his ass, meaning journalism, and Rispoli bumped the back of goal oriented. And when you do that, obviously he cuts his, your body forces to go in. That's their excuse, or that's their thought. And by the way, if you haven't, go to our on our Twitter or X, and I retweeted it last night. So go find that. There's an interview that Asmussen did with Bick, and it is as candid gets. Yeah. For a guy that is a very well-respected, very solid trainer, but you could tell this guy is not happy with how Clever Again essentially was treated, and there was no repercussions for that. But so I never saw, like, here's the thing. I'll just be honest. I don't ever see a video. I've not seen a video where it's clear, or really even close, to where he hits his ass and knocks him sideways. I felt like if there was, when the contact, it was like essentially shoulder to shoulder, not the ass, and then boom. So that I mean, again, I've never been ridden on a racehorse. I don't know the logic behind it, but I never felt like that was the reason. Whenever he got up to the inside of him, I think it was totally fair for Pratt to be like, you're going to have to earn this spot, meaning that we see it all the time, herding and racing. They try to limit it, but it happens all the time. In a race like this, hey, you're not going to earn, I'm not going to give you this spot, right? But like a little shove, little bump, that's fine. It was the second one that really turned it from being, oh, that's racing to, holy shit, this thing is about to get like bad. And so that to me is what should have, because then obviously goal oriented Clever Again got impeded by that, almost fell down. The rules state if their placing was affected, then there needs to be an inquiry for that. And it was like, he wasn't going to win the race. I'm with you. I don't think he was going to finish top 4, but we don't really know that. We know because it was impeded because of what happened. So, and I don't think it should have been journalism, but I feel like journalism and or goal oriented should have been DQ'd, and because he was placing, and dude, she was still interviewing him after the race,
Yeah.
Spoli, and they were like, "Oh, no change." It was like they looked at it for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of baffling to me that how quickly this was kind of pushed under the rug.
Yeah, a few points, and that was the first one I was going to point out. They did not look at it at all. Like when it happened, I was thinking, oh boy, this will be 10 minutes. Because, I mean, even watching it live without any replay, I thought, oh, something. I mean, when you're watching it live, you couldn't really tell exactly, but you knew there was a lot of problems, right? And what I mean is you couldn't tell what horse did what, but I was just sitting there like, it's going to take several minutes to unpack this. And you were right. Like they were interviewing and then the jockey and then boom, the official sign came on. So that was crazy. I never remember just a normal inquiry taking that quick or being done that quick. So that was crazy. Yeah. And then here's the deal. I am not going to argue with Steve Asmussen. I'm not going to argue with the greatest trainer in the history of racing when it comes to wins, because I'm not qualified to argue with him. What I'm going to tell you is I have watched this a million times. I don't see where the contact happened. I understand that he's saying, hey, when horses get hit in the ass, that's how they react. I don't see it on the tape. That's the problem. What I see is it looked like Goal Oriented got a little bit spooked, got a little bit funky, hit journalism, and then journalism hit Clever again. That's what I see with my own eyes when I watch it. And people see different things. People have told me there was not any hole for him to run in, and I'm like, guys, I don't know where are you seeing that? There was a hole. If there wasn't, he would clip heels and fall down. Like, you don't just magically create separation there. So again, like all I can kind of give you is what I see, but I would be dumb to sit here and say, well, there's no way that's what Asmus is saying is right. Just saying, I don't see where it happened, but maybe it did. And we just didn't, for whatever reason, pick it up or whatever by the angles that we had. But it just sure looked like to me, Goal Oriented kind of freaked a little bit and caused it. But, there's all kinds of people I respect that have different opinions on that.
Yeah, I just posted a link there in the comments, guys. If you haven't done it already, I encourage you to go read the article over on the website. I asked John, because obviously we were texting each other a lot afterwards, and I was like, John, what do you like? He wrote a really long thing, and I was like, dude, can I just put this in an article? Because I think people would want to know. And then he's like, no, actually do this. And he sent me like an actual article, which was fantastic. But it's like, hey, if there's a guy that's asked, it's John White. And he says, and he said, but to be fair, he said it from jump, right? He said it from 2 seconds after the race that it's goal oriented. And so he backed that up. There's videos on there as well. There's overheads, the actual race. So there's a little more to look at. Obviously we can't show the replay here, but I wanted to say this too, like Tim, like tell that to Maximum Security. The favorite horse never gets DQ'd. And how about Luis Saez, guys? Poor guy. Yeah. He gets DQ'd off of Maximum Security in the Kentucky Derby. And then he's the winner of the Preakness here. And no one gets DQ'd, and if you want to believe it was journalism's fault, would have obviously put Gosker ahead. So there's 2 times that Luis Saez is maybe not a big fan of the Steward situation.
Well, and I can understand the frustration from everybody. And the one thing that, people have kind of said, it's like, I don't care what happened, Spoli caused it by doing that. And I'd said, you are correct. His stupidity cost... it didn't, thankfully, but could have cost the lives of horses and jockeys. And that was pure and utter stupidity to do that. And he needs to be called out on it. A couple people said, oh, you're crazy. He's so brave. Forget that. Yeah, sure. He was brave. He was also really stupid, and he should have been at least fined. But the problem with it is, and I get the logic of, hey, none of it would have happened if he hadn't went in there. Absolutely. You're right. But the horse, I just can't find where the horse did anything wrong. So it's 2 separate things. You can't just say, hey, he caused it all because he created the situation, which is true. But in my opinion, it's like, okay, and then it's like, what horse fouled who, though, at that point? And at the end of the day, I don't agree with this logic, but I think this is what happened. I think Pimlico, the stewards, looked at it and they said, okay, Clever again was the one that got the worst of it. He was backing up anyway. maybe he doesn't finish 9th, but maybe it's 7th or whatever. We're not going to make all this problem just to move a horse up from 9th to 8th. And again, I don't agree with that logic, but I think that's the logic they did here. And I think that's what happened.
I 1000% agree with you on what you said about Rispoli. Like, it's almost like I made the analogy to you guys the other day. It was like, it's kind of like if you're walking like down an alley of a bad part of the neighborhood, like, this neighborhood is not good, right? You know you're not supposed to be out there after dark. Like, people get mugged or whatever, and guess what? You get mugged. Like, yeah, you got mugged. Like, it's against the law. Like, it was an issue, but you shouldn't have been there in the first place, right? You know better, and that's kind of how I look at this. It's like, yes, there was a big time issue with goal oriented. But dude, what were you doing there in the first place? You shouldn't. Yeah. You put your horse there in a bad position, and in fact, everyone else's horse in a bad position when you shouldn't have done it. And honestly, and I thought Asmussen made a very accurate / funny comment on that interview. And what was it he said? He goes, basically was like, I can't believe he's like, I can't speak for McCarthy and their the barn and stuff, but he's like, I'd basically tell my jockey, like, stop riding him like a rented mule.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a pretty accurate comment, because like, this horse is a millionaire horse, worth millions of dollars at this point. And like, let's not even forget it or think about, the on the race or on the track type stuff. I mean, you keep riding a horse like this, and let's be honest, he got the horse in trouble in the San Derby. The Kentucky Derby wasn't great, although he kind of picked it up after the first of the race. And then here, like, this horse is gonna get in trouble, gonna get hurt, and like, you don't need to be riding the horse like he did at the Preakness. And you would think of all races, this would be the race where it's like, hey, just keep them out wide, and you're behind the horses, cut out wide, and then boom, So I don't know. It's McCarthy, and maybe just being nice in front of the camera, and then afterwards, like you said, he picked him up by his neck.
Yeah,
but he said he commented after the race about, he kind of like how much he praised Rispoli for getting the horse basically through all that and stuff. And so obviously he's had time to watch replays since then. Maybe he has a different opinion. I don't know. He probably would never publicly say that, but I don't know. So do you think he should be on the horse in Belmont if he rides?
No, absolutely not. And people are like, oh, he won. What are you going to do? Forget again. Like, he did not win this race. Journalism won the race. He did everything he could to get journalism beat, and he won it. So no, he should be off. And look, I told you when we got on the live stream, I said, these races are too hard to win when you have a liability for a jockey. I'm sorry. And look, maybe I'm being too hard on him, but he wouldn't be on him if it was for me, because look, we got to go win a Belmont. We got to go win a Travers, a Haskell, a Classic, all this, whatever. I can't sit here and be worried about you, right? Like, I've got to worry about so many things. I've got to have a championship jockey. So he should be off, in my opinion. I mean, think about what people would be saying about this guy if he lost the race. Like 99% of horses would have lost that day.
Yeah. Oh, dude, 99.9. I mean, there's no horse that, and even really, really, really good horses that would have done that, and because there's a mental aspect to it as well that this horse clearly has, where you get into trouble, have that issue. Asmussen mentioned it a little bit in his interview as well, kind of like, we don't know what Clever, that PTSD type stuff. Like, is he, when he gets in traffic or gets around close horses, is he gonna back up? Just like sometimes with humans we do. And so he's a horse that's just, he knows how to win, man. He wants to win. He knows what to do to win. He doesn't get scared. He proved so much. Imagine I tweeted out something right after the race. Like, imagine if he would have won the Derby, and that was the stretch run we got in the Preakness of him trying to keep the Triple Crown alive. I mean, holy shit. So, who would you? Yeah, a couple questions in the chat, so I'll ask you just top of your mind. Who would like be your first call? You're Mike McCarthy. Who's your first call? Hey, we're running the Belmont. I want you to ride my horse. Who is it?
Well, I don't think realistically you could get Pratt because I think he's on Baeza, and I don't realistically think you could get Junior Alvarado because he's on Sovereignty. So let's forget about those two. I mean, the Ortiz brothers would be Luis Saez. Those would be the first three calls I would get right there. It's just that simple, and at the end of the day, I just don't think you can ride a race like that, and they should put him back on. That's just how I think about it. I like Umberto Rispoli. That's the thing about it, but I'm sorry. I just wouldn't put him back on. It's just that simple. And I would get somebody that has rode a million of these races and I could trust. And yeah, like Johnny Velasquez.
Hey, Ron, thank you, Ron. That was exactly who I was going to say. And I was just going to say, like, think about Justify and Mike Smith and even Espinoza on Faro. Like, those weren't, I mean, especially Mike Smith was certainly at the end of his career there with Justify. Like, all you had to do is stay on the horse, basically. Make smart decisions. And a guy like Johnny V is going to make the good decisions, right? He's going to keep the horse out of trouble. He's going to give that's the kind of guy, when I know I have the best horse, I want like a guy that's got that many years experience under his belt. That's like, hey, I guarantee you Johnny V would have gone wide in the Preakness.
Yeah. I mean, I know. And so the turf comment that you made, and then Link makes comment on the turf as well. It doesn't work on the turf either to do that. Ask Silver Bullet from was it Friday Kentucky Oaks Day. That shit. No, it's not because he's used to riding the turf. You don't run up the ass of horses that are in a line in front of you. Like it's come on.
Yeah.
I watch turf racing too. That shit doesn't work. When you go inside like that, you're rolling the dice. You just don't do it with the best horses in the race. So, and like to Rico's point, I agree. However, I don't care. Like, I would take him off journalism after that. Like, there has to be some kind of like, hey, that was really dumb. Either you just tell him, don't ever do it again. If he does, then he's definitely out, or you just replace him. I mean, it's just that simple for me. And I like him.
I actually like Rispoli a lot too. I like to bet his horses.
All the
I
time.
know he's a good jockey. He's going to ride the hell out of a horse. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he did that Saturday, but because he was trying to keep the horse off the ground. You got to also remember we are in May, right? We have the Belmont if he runs the Belmont, but we also have things like the Travers, the Haskell, Pennsylvania Derby. You've got the Pacific Classic, possibly. You've got a race called the Breeders' Cup Classic. Like a lot of big races ahead, right? That you're gonna want to make sure you've got the right jockey now.
Yeah.
And now would be the time. Maybe you do what you said. You say, "Hey, dude, you absolutely cannot do that. You can never do that again. And now you do it again, you're done." But I'm with you. I would not think twice about it. I mean, honestly.
And I want to go on record of saying people were thinking, oh, he'll screw up the Derby, and there's some out there that think he did, and I am not one of those people, and I was not one of those people who was worried going into the Derby either, because I mean he's rode this horse pretty much perfect until the Preakness, right? Like I thought his Derby ride was fine. I thought he did fine in Santa Anita, but the thing is, he's never got like fancy on him. And so that's what's weird, that he did it here of all places. But I don't know. You guys could say, oh, you're being too harsh. He should stay riding. Maybe he should. But I'm just saying, I would just think about a replacement. Because, again, what if he screws up the Belmont and you lose it and you should have won it? You don't get to run that over again, right? And that's the thing that people need to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he won, so all is well. If he loses that race, that is a devastating loss. You're not coming back next year and running in it again. You get one chance, and that's how all the Travers, the Haskell, the Belmont, the Classic, you might get another chance if you run again, so forget about it. But these 3-year-old races that are so prestigious, you get one shot at it. and the jockey getting you beat, you just can't take that chance. And not, I mean, any jockey could get you beat for sure, but man, if you've got proof that he screwed up and he does it again, I'm sorry, that'll be a terrible feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it like if he would have, like, you're basically, like, let's say he lost. Let's say the exact same thing happened, the same race scenario, and everything happened, except he didn't quite get there to Gosker, in that scenario. I mean, I think you, like, 2 seconds after the race, you're like, we got to get a new jockey. We got to get him off this horse,
Yeah.
So the only reason he did not do that is because the horse fucking took him on his shoulders and took over,
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, winning or losing should not have any impact on it because the same scenario
No.
happened. I will say this, okay, because I don't want to just completely bash the guy. So let's just make one. I want to play devil's advocate for a second. Let's just say he had that thought of, hey, and it's valid, right? Because it was a race that, we see it all the time with horses that are trying to run back from the Preakness. They're tired, right? And you don't really know it until you know it. And you're like, oh shit, he doesn't have it. He does not have it. I got to try to do the same, because if I go wide and he runs a second, you get criticized for, why'd you go wide? You shouldn't have gone wide. You had the inside or whatever. Like, is there any part of you or anything that you're like, hey, you know what? He made a decision. Obviously, it was the wrong one looking back, but at the time, it felt like the best decision he had to make because he did not think he had the horse. And let's be honest, looking at it at the time, it didn't really seem like he did. And so can you make any kind of argument? Be like, hey, you know what? Yeah, it was a stupid mistake. Yeah, I was, looking back. But at the time, I understand why he did it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to. I got mowers here, but I'm trying to make a justification for him. If I was a trainer and I really trusted everything he said, and I knew the kid wasn't going to lie or make up anything like that, and he looked at me and said, I thought we were done. I went inside and he took off on me as soon as I went inside. Maybe you believe him, and maybe you go, you know what? Maybe he was spinning his wheels, and when you shot him inside, all of a sudden he took off on you, and it was just a perfect storm. That's not exactly how he explained it, though. He pretty much said, yeah, I made that choice. So, no, I guess is the answer. I just don't see a reason for it. Because here's the deal. If he goes to the outside and he gets second, I don't think anybody's sitting there going, well, if he would have went inside, he would have won the race. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be.
Because you would have been like, there was nowhere to go on the inside. And, because you wouldn't have assumed anyone's crazy enough to try it.
And all I will say is, and you can go back and find the replay of it, when he went inside, I said out loud, why are you going inside? Okay, so that is out there somewhere where I said, why are you going inside? Right? So, because 5 seconds before I said he's tipping him out, which is like, okay, yeah, tip him out like you've done every race where he's won, other than the Derby where he still ran a very good second. I thought, okay, he's tipping him out. He's getting him in a good spot. He's picking it up. He's starting to pick it up. We're all good. Oh my God, why did you go inside? And then I am going to absolutely kill you for 3 weeks because you just lost the race. Anyway, there you go. That was my thought process watching live.
I mean, honestly, and that all like occurred in like 3 seconds, because then it's like, right, maybe less, because you're like, oh, then you're like, oh shit, he can, even Colmus, when he called it, you could tell he was like, all right, he's not gonna win now, because he's like, Sandman has entered the scene, because now it's Sandman who could run down Gosker. And then so he's kind of calling that, and then you're like, oh shit, he went back by Sandman, and oh, he could win, holy shit, and then he does. And so, yeah, regardless, it was just an unbelievably fascinating race to watch and obviously unpack. We're still trying to. A couple other comments just outside of that, I think it's kind of fair to comment on. Sandman, I think, is what he is. I think he's shown that Arkansas Derby was the outlier. He is just kind of that kind of clunk up for
Yep.
So second, third, fourth, whatever. Like, I don't think he's a terrible horse, but he's certainly a cut below this group. Other kind of notable horses, in my opinion, I thought River Thames was disappointing pretty badly. And obviously Clever Again was disappointing because even, he got pulled up there at the end, but he when he got that lead on his own and the fractions were, while they were fast, they weren't completely crazy. I got pretty excited. I thought, here we go. This is what you wanted. Gosker, but let's be fair, Gosker put the pressure on him, but I would have liked to have seen, and I think you look back at the start, Jose, once again, Pratt, Pratt screwed everything up in this race. He kept looking over at Pratt thinking goal oriented was going to go. And even after the race, Baffert essentially blamed Pratt for not going to the lead. And I wanted to ask you about that because I know you have some comments about that, but you could tell Jose kind of the whole idea probably all week was like, well, they're going to go, so let's sit off of them. So I kind of was hoping Clever Again would have gotten the Gosker trip, meaning he tracked Clever Again the whole way around and then went. Obviously, he got some pressure from Gosker, especially late in the race, and I think just all that kind of was magnified by that last part of it. But not the greatest trip there for Clever Again. But talk about the beginning. How insane, how surprised were you that Pratt did not push goal oriented to the lead?
Yeah, this was almost insane as what happened in the stretch, in my opinion. So after the race, I saw the Baffert comments, okay, and he was like, we didn't get to run our race. I wanted him to be on the lead. He didn't get to the lead, and it was just really tough for him. We wanted to be in front. And so then I get ready to watch the replay to do the video, the recap video, and I'm saying, okay, well, I watch all the horses, right? So I'll watch Goal Orient first. He breaks from the rail, and Pratt is just riding him aggressive, and I'm like, well, why didn't he get to the lead? Did I miss something? Did he get cut off? Pratt gets to the point where he's about to get the lead, and he stopped riding the horse and tucked him up into third. Like that was the plan. So either Baffert's lying, which I don't think he's lying, or Pratt, for just some kind of crazy reason, didn't go all the way to the front. I couldn't believe it. It's like if the instructions were to get the lead, you did it. Just do the little bit of extra that it would have taken and you were there. I don't know what he was doing. I can't explain it. And again, if the instructions were to stalk the pace, he did a perfect job. But Baffert clearly said the instructions were to go to the front, and he stopped. So that was shocking. I watching that back, I couldn't believe it. And like you said, I think Jose, you're right. He's just looking over there like, what is going on? Am I going to actually
going?
Clear?
Are you going?
Well, I think he was sitting there thinking, I think I can get over, but I don't want to cross over on somebody, but they're not there. And then boom, he goes right over there. He gets the lead. And the damning thing about Clever Again is Gosker, because they were running kind of as a tandem. Gosker was a little bit behind him, but Clever Again starts to back up and Gosker kicks on. And that's a bad sign for Clever Again. And again, I don't think he's going to finish last. And I think he got interfered with fiercely. So I don't want to act like that didn't happen, but still he was backing up to where it didn't look like he was going to run very well. So I don't really know why that was the case, what happened, but yeah, it was just kind of a weird situation. And Ron says it's because it was obvious Jose wanted to stalk the one. Yeah, Ron, but if the trainer tells you to get the lead, you go get the lead. And especially when all you had to do was just go a couple extra pumps and you had the lead. So I don't really think, he wants to stalk me. Well, no, you're taking the lead and I'm going to go against the trainer and get dirt in this horse's face. I just don't think that's a good reason. Maybe that was in reality what the reason was, but I mean, man, it was just kind of like, that's crazy. So that was a crazy start to the race. And then, like I said, disappointing for Clever Again. Oh, and Sandman. That was his race to win, dude.
Yeah.
And Johnny V basically said this horse doesn't know what he's doing in the post race. Like, he didn't say it like that, but he pretty much said, I was asking him and I could tell I had a lot of horse, but I couldn't get him to do it. You know what I mean? So, which I laughed very hard at.
Which is the most tap it thing ever, right? Like, this is like this might be worse than Tapatrace, Sandman,
Yeah.
because he's like,
Yeah.
he finds ways to run incredibly well. Like Sandman ran better than Tapatrace ever ran that day in the Arkansas Derby. He looked like he tricked all of us, or most of us, you and I included. But boy, he is an idiot and a half, man.
And this is a good summary from Manilow, because I was with you. Like, I heard you say, hey, I thought Sandman was going to win at one point. And it's right. It's like he had a chance to make things really interesting, or he was going to make things interesting until he had that chance. And then he did Sandman things, right? So, yeah, I mean, the one thing about Johnny V, whether you like him or a writer, you hate him as a writer, I love his post-race comments because he is very candid. Like, I learned a lot about fierceness last year because of Johnny V. I remember, you may not remember this, but before the Jim Dandy, they had a long interview with Johnny V. And he said, he's like, I have been trying and I think I've got him figured out, but I'm not sure because he's very quirky. But trust me, I've been working. And he laid out this like plan, and then it played out on the racetrack. And I said, man, that guy, he laid that shit out and it worked. Like, I was so impressed with him. And he's very candid with his interviews.
I mean, this is a race we're going to talk about for a very long time. It has the Fleet Alex vibes to it, going down at the top of the stretch, re-rallying and getting the job done. So, and certainly journalism is, in my opinion, kind of worthy. Yeah, right. Worthy of that conversation. We talked a little bit about it on the preview to the Preakness last week, and we're like, hey, we're going to find out, is journalism like that epicenter basically, or is he at a Fleet Alex or who, and like, what, he hasn't earned that yet. Well, he earned it. He earned it on Saturday. And, I think that is a race, regardless of who you believe is at fault. The horse had nothing to do with it and needs to be recognized to that, because it was an unbelievable effort and something you don't see maybe ever. That's why I was telling people like that didn't, or might be watched the race or didn't watch it. And like, dude, you gotta, like, you just do not see, like, you don't see that ever, that this happened. It's this incredible effort by just a world-class horse. So journalism on paper and in the record books did win the race. We'll move on. He'll see if he is at the Belmont conversation coming up next. Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, this thing, guys, is besides obviously a Triple Crown on the line, you can't ask for anything bigger. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to work. Hang on.
Yeah. Bree asked a question, what jockey would be perfect for Sandman? Honestly, like, and this is coming from a trainer that I talked to that's not had horses like Sandman, but had horses that are goofy. They usually try to put like more experienced like riders. So, I mean, Johnny V would be one that would come to mind. I mean, Jose Ortiz, when they put him on, I think, an experienced rider that could kind of get him to do some stuff, but you can only do so much, so. There
we go. All right, in just 3 more weeks, or really 2 weeks now, but 3 weeks from the Preakness comes the 2025 Belmont Stakes. Of course, ran at Saratoga again this year, and I have up on the screen the list of probables / possibles as we sit here. A few weeks out. We did a small field of 8 so far. I'll read through them. Bieza is a probable. Crudo is a new one to the list for Todd Pletcher as a possible. Final Gambit, a horse that ran 4th. So, you essentially could have the superfecta of the Kentucky Derby in the race. Possible. Heart of Honor, probable, which is interesting coming back there. Hill Road, probable. Journalism, possible. Rodriguez and Sovereign. We'll see if Rodriguez actually will run. He's attempted to enter in all 3 of the Triple Crown races and has not ran in any of them. And then obviously Sovereignty there being that last one, he is for sure probable. So probable, we at least are going to have Bieza versus Sovereignty, but there is a shot, and I'd say a decent shot, that Journalism is entered the mix. I think Final Gambit might run. I assume they'll try. So you could actually have the superfecta of the Kentucky Derby, but let's narrow it down. You could have a rubber match between Sovereignty and Journalism. Who's the better 3-year-old? measured there at 1.25 miles, by the way, as well. So it's a little more like standard versus that 1.5 miles that kind of can get funky. So, listen, what do you think of the race? What do you think of the field? Obviously looks decent if these it looks amazing if these horses show up.
Yeah, it seems like we get a couple that drop out and then a couple that kind of throw their name in there. I think we'll end up with about 8 horses. I'm not sure who it will be. But yeah, like we have some shaky horses on the list, right? Baeza, Crudo, I think will be their final gambit. I've heard going to the Matt Win if they don't go to the Belmont, and they're leaning Matt Win. So I don't know what'll happen there. Heart of Honor sounds like he's going to be the Hill Road. Journalism, I would call 50-50. Rodriguez, I guess that's 50-50 at this point as well. And then Sovereignty. So out of this list, I don't know. We might get 6. But look, if we get Baeza, Journalism, Sovereignty, it really doesn't matter who else is in the race. It's going to be good. We're going to have a lot to hype up. But the big thing you see, let's just pretend it's these 8 horses. The pace is wildly different in this one than it was in the first 2, right? Doesn't look like there's much there. That could really hurt a horse like Sovereignty, especially on a track like Saratoga. So that's going to be interesting. The pace of this and how it sets up is going to be very interesting.
This would be it, yeah, to say the least. But again, I don't expect Rodriguez to enter, but if he were, he would have a nice little pace set up here for him. Maybe some speed horse will enter and make things. Yeah, that's always happens. It doesn't look like it's going to be fast, and then a couple horses put in there. But you would think, do you think that it is such a huge day? It's the Belmont to me. It's not the Derby, but it's a hell of a big race, especially at Saratoga. You'd want to run if you could. But do you think also trainers, owners, whatever, hey, listen, if these top 3, meaning the big 3, Sovereignty, Journalism, and Baeza runs, what are we even doing? Because we can't run top 3 in the race. So why even try?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of that. I'm shocked. I will say that I thought, hey, we'll get 10 or so, so I am a little bit shocked. But yes, I do think there is a lot of that. I do think the horses have somewhat kind of stamped themselves as, hey, they're going to be pretty tough to beat. The one thing I will say is it was only 2 races ago that, Sovereignty couldn't even win the Florida Derby. Right? You know what I mean? I'm sorry. It's not like this horse with his running style, you can beat him if you can kind of get the jump on him, right? We've seen it. So I don't think there's enough here to just scare people. And by the way, what if Journalism doesn't enter? Which I think is possible. I mean, look, we'll see what kind of energy he has, but it might be tough. Well, shit, then it's why not take a shot at this?
Yeah.
That's I would look at it.
If he's out, if any of those 3 are out, then I think it's why not? You could, get 3rd, right? If that's the worst case. But
yeah,
the thing with Journalism too is you kind of expect at one point you're is he gonna keep firing? Because gosh, he's just running the shit out of this horse, and some obviously, as we just talked about, some tough situations as well. Yeah, you're right with Sovereignty. That's an interesting thought. Is will he be the same horse? Well, the Derby is certainly. Here's the thing, though. Sovereignty's a great horse, and he's a nice horse for sure. But could the Derby be the outlier?
Well, let's look at his other 2 races this year. Okay, he beat River Thames by a neck.
Mm-hmm.
That horse has not come back to run very well in either one of the next 2 races. Okay, he did finish second in the Florida Derby. Nobody behind him has really done much. And then he runs a 104 buyer and beats Journalism in the Derby. You tell me what the outlier is.
Yeah, exactly. It's not fair to say, well, he's not very good, because he is.
No. Yeah.
I did find it very interesting. I saw it on Twitter. I think it was Twitter. It must be a trend or something. Some of the trend. It was basically saying hey, what are the best 5 horses you've ever seen in person? And a couple trainers actually responded, and Sovereignty was on both lists. And that's on the list, God. As far as in the flesh, the best looking.
Oh, okay.
No. Literally, visually the best looking horse.
Gotcha.
Yes. Just say, hey, easy now.
I thought people were saying he's one of the best horses we've seen, like on the
like
track.
literally, like visually the best in the flesh. And Sovereignty was on both. I think it was like McPeak, and I feel like there was someone else that was that trained. But anyways, I thought it was interesting. He obviously is a hell of a looker. And you know, bred. He's huge. He's to the nine. I mean, he's exactly what you want in a racehorse. So he could be world class, right? That the Derby could have been the start of that world class. I don't know. So, by the way, speaking of him, do you know, is Good Cheer planning a comeback race? Have you seen that on Belmont Day or no?
I would imagine he'll or she will run in the Acorn on Friday.
That would be awesome.
No. Yeah, I imagine on Friday, Acorn for Good Cheer. And that's the race that, of course, the Rapido Anna won last year there at Saratoga as well.
American Promise is a good looker. He's a looker too. No doubt. Acorn confirmed. All right. Thank you, Kevin B.
Yep.
I saw a comment asking hoping that Caldera would enter the race. I don't think that's going to happen. He might be dead. I don't know. He has not worked since for the last race. So
I think so. Here's my take on Caldera.
Because his ass would be in the race if he was healthy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, this is my take on him reading between the lines. Okay. They skipped the bluegrass. That doesn't they don't do that on the Lucas barn. You know what I mean? So they did run in the Bathhouse Row, and then right after Bathhouse Row, they were saying he's going to run, at Pimlico. They didn't show up there. I don't think he's around.
Yeah. Well, an owner of the horse, Shoddy, says he's at the farm.
So. Oh, he's at the farm? Wow.
Yeah. Well,
that doesn't. I mean, if you're in the Lucas barn, you don't skip dates. You run. So he's got something wrong with him. Yeah.
The moment that Bass told us that day at the barn that they were gonna skip the bluegrass, because I was talking, I was hitting him up because we were back there and I was talking. We were seeing Caldera, and he was like, that was the first time we'd heard of it. Like, hey, we might go a different route with him, and I was like, oh no.
We looked at each other and just smiled.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, something's wrong with him. Gotcha.
Yeah, Kevin, you've got a good streak going here. Every horse that we've had on the team is either buried or on a farm. So congrats on that. But no, all things aside, let's talk about. I don't think it matters this race who wins versus journalism versus sovereignty as far as 3-year-old of the year. And obviously would make a big case one way or another. But I think the horse that wins would definitely be leader in the clubhouse, but you certainly have the second half of the year. You have a race called the Travers. You have a race called the Breeders' Cup Classic that certainly could make that swing one way or another. But I do think the leader in the clubhouse would definitely come out of this one, meaning journalism or sovereignty.
For sure. Yeah, journalism or sovereignty would be leader in the clubhouse if they win. Baeza, if he wins, kind of got a 3-way tie heading into this last part of the season as well. So that would be kind of fun as well. But yeah, I mean, and look, we'll get into the handicapping of this thing. If journalism does enter, it's okay. It's his third race in 5 weeks. It's sovereignty's second in 5 weeks. So obviously there's advantages and disadvantages there. So we'll see.
All right. That was a good, Kevin. Yeah.
That's not. No.
Come on. Not. It's a joke.
None of those. That is not true.
None of them are dead. None of them are dead.
No.
Someone will love that in the comments later on YouTube. I guarantee that. Let's see. So yeah, this race. Okay, let me ask you this question, and then we'll end it because obviously it's too early to really get into the race, but it's kind of fun to see who might be running. Sure. What if Baeza beats them both?
No, that's what I said. I think it'd be a 3-way tie. Yeah.
It's not out of the question, meaning not even close. And then all of a sudden, could we be sitting there being like, maybe he's the best one? Like he legitimately could be, because he's such an unproven horse. The Derby was just like he barely got in, had last minute, and ran well. Really, almost got second in the race. Had everything kind of obviously up against it. We don't really know a lot about Baeza other than the talent seems to be there, but we don't really have that proven race. We don't have that Preakness. We don't have that Derby win, meaning, so if he were to win here, each of them won a leg, I'm with you. It'd be a 3-way tie.
Well, and I think Baeza winning the race is not a stretch by any
I don't either
means of I mean, he's proven he's very close to journalism, and now he's got extra rest where journalism ran. So you could make a case he might run better than Journalism here and get by him this time. And then also, I think it's a huge thing. Not pretend, but whoever Sovereignty is, whether he's that horse in Florida or he's a horse in Kentucky or he's a mixture of the two, if the pace is slow, he's compromised. Not saying it's impossible, saying it's going to be much, much tougher for him to win. And all of a sudden, you may not have to worry about him catching you. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Look, I think it's very possible Baeza wins. I may even pick Baeza to win at this point. We'll see what happens. But yeah,
he's an interesting horse. Kevin, I would say it's Baeza. Who's the Dornoch here? It's Baeza. I mean, I think that's pretty me because it's like Dornoch, ran in the Derby, kind of had some trouble, didn't run great. I think Baeza ran better than Dornoch did in the Derby, but you kind of are also not looking at him necessarily, kind of like you weren't really too concerned about Dornoch in the Derby or in the Belmont. Obviously had talent. I think, yeah, if you're comparing, I don't know who else would be. I wouldn't say it's Hill Road or anything. So, I'd say it's him.
I would say as far as like expectations of how they're going to run, I think he would be kind of like Heart of Honor because I thought Dornoch would run like 8th in the Belmont last year. I had buried that horse. I have a hard time saying, yeah, Baeza is the next Dornoch.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yes, I see.
Not Manlow. He may, if you ask Manlow, Dornoch could be Journalism.
Well, so, and look, he showed up there and ran huge, and he showed up at the Haskell and ran huge. And then it was like, it was over, it's like, he just got hot, he's literally one of those horses. It's like a 3-point shooter. Sometimes they get hot and God, did Dornoch get hot? Two big races. But again, like I thought he was done and he wins those 2 big time grade 1 races. So
now Mind Frame is winning everything and, couldn't win races when I needed them to last year. So,
Yep. Well, and yeah, I mean, to be fair, Mind Frame definitely was the New York Knicks in the situation that we're talking about here and kind of helped the situation a little bit.
Hot damn, Manlow. How are you feeling after that one? Manlow's a big Pacers guy, and he's
what a game.
I had written him off too. And then, he hit, let's be honest, Manlow, did you how excited did you get? I'll just put it PG when you thought that Halliburton hit that 3 to win the game. I mean, it was insane. And then to pull out the choke Selly, and that would have been a real disappointment if they would have lost an OT after all that. But man, that was insane.
I had Pacers plus 4.5, and I gave up on them like 12 times. And I looked at my ESPN app just, okay, let me make sure. It's like, it's a 5-point game with like 40 seconds left. So I turn it back over there, and then, yeah, we were able to do it. That was crazy. What a game.
Pacers are they're really like Halliburton obviously is an absolute dog, but I mean, they're one of those teams that you're like, oh, they're not that good. And you can beat them, but they are just so gutty. There's multiple games where they look like they're just out of it, and then they win. That's why they've gone so far, because you can't overlook them, and they won't quit. So it's these 2 series should be fun to watch. Although I hope the Thunder run away with the other one, but knowing the Thunder, it will be another 7-game series. So
yeah, it kind of feels like they need to, but they look a little. I don't know. I don't think it'll be a 7 games. I think they'll handle this team a little easier than Denver. That's for sure.
I agree. I think I think that Denver one, they just had to survive, man. That was just playing a bunch of vets and know how to win it, and a team that's really young with being the Thunder. And this one feels like they know now, right? It's like, okay, all right, we got this. So. Pacers versus Thunder would be a fun finals, man.
That would be fun. That would be fun. I would love that.
All right, guys, let's look at the Belmont Stakes probables. We'll obviously have this list updated. It's on the website. If you just go to the website on the tab there on the main menu, there's a Belmont Stakes page. I have this list updated. So anytime I see updates or horses added, confirmed, whatever, I have that updated on that list. So that's a place you can stay tuned for who's going to be running. But yeah, we're 2 weeks out now from the Belmont. More coming up soon.
I do have a parting piece of advice for people who are insanely mad about this.
Oh,
Because there's one little thing I've been told. I saw it in the comments, and then I've been told a couple of times over email that I kind of want people to at least understand how they're not making the right decision.
yeah. What you guys probably don't realize, maybe you do if you guys are on, but like, so when I post, I do all the social media stuff. So when I post something on social media, I basically, the only time I ever get on there is to post something else, right? I don't get on there to like, sometimes I get sucked in reading comments, but I'll just, I have like, I literally, every time I open my app on Twitter, I'll have 20, it'll say like 20 plus or whatever comment, like notifications. Like it just goes crazy. And so I'm not reading that shit. So I don't really dive into what the comments are. We get a ton of comments on YouTube. But what's been fascinating about this situation is how we've had people emailing us.
Yeah.
Like we caused it or something. I don't really know the logic behind it, or partly just being like venting to us or something. I don't know. It's super weird. Like this, for whatever reason, this scenario has triggered a lot of people, and it's very fascinating.
And I've seen this 3 times now, 2 times over email and one in the comments. Somebody said, I don't remember who said it. I'm skipping the Belmont because I'm mad about what happened at Pimlico.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
Okay, let me explain how insanely dumb that is. Okay. That's like me saying I got mad at Walmart and now I'm not going to shop at Target. It's 2 different companies. If you're mad at Pimlico, stop betting racing in Maryland. Right? I don't understand. Like, how can you not understand? It's 2 different companies.
I mean, who's like, why are you mad at the Belmont?
I'm mad at Pimlico, so I'm skipping the Belmont. Pimlico's going, thanks. We don't want you to give your money to a competitor anyway. I appreciate that very much.
Like, yeah, it's insane. Like, by the way, it's like not just a comment in the chat. I've seen it multiple times saying they're not going to watch the Belmont or not going to bet the Belmont or whatever.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, like if you're okay, if I'm mad at Walmart and I don't shop at Walmart, okay, I get it. You're mad at that company, the hell with them. Great. I'm skipping the next 5 Preaknesses. Okay. Whether I agree or not with the logic, it's at least something that makes sense.
By the way, if you are a type of person that's ever mad at Walmart or a Target or a whatever, like that's a whole different breed anyways. So, I mean, like if you like people riding, or if you're riding the racing dudes because you're mad about the Belmont, it's like, all right. Or bad about the Preakness, it's like, okay. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do about that,
Well, yeah, I know. And I haven't replied because I know it's not going to help. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just like, look, at least guide your anger and hurt the people, quote unquote, hurt the people that you want to hurt, like that you're mad at, like that. I mean, that is just crazy.
It's funny too, like sports in general are this way, but for whatever reason, horse racing is so like you're right or you're wrong. You know what I mean? Like you can't. Yeah. It's like the comments on John's are like his commentary. It's like, well, he's wrong. He's dumb. I would not listen to that. It's so stupid. Whatever. It's like, how about you can just be like, I don't agree with it, but I respect the fact that I understand his logic, but I don't agree with what he's saying. It's like we have to be so that's not right. I'm right. That's not right. It's like and for whatever reason, it feels like in horse racing. I don't know if it is because it's like horse racing is completely based around betting, and betting is about being right and wrong. I don't really know if that's why, but it's weird.
So it's people really, really, really struggle when opinions aren't like theirs anymore. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, because I haven't, like, I've kind of not argued, but I've talked to people who are on the other side, and I haven't argued with them. I've been, I don't see it that way, but I could kind of see what you're saying and just move on. Like, I don't know why people are idiots when we don't agree with them. You know what I mean? I don't know how we got to that point, but here we are.
I mean, I don't know. I try to I'm very set. I mean, I'm pretty confident in myself, meaning like I just say if that's my opinion, that's my opinion. I don't, but I also like if someone else has a different one, I'm not going to be like, it's like, hey, I
Yeah.
mean, I respect the fact that you do. I don't agree with you.
Right.
That's fine, but I'm not going to be like, visual or verbally or online or whatever, like bashing somebody. It's insane. It's like, it's
Well,
crazy.
and again, I'll just say like Charlestown. Sometimes you better race at Charlestown, and maybe no, you know what? Let's go to Fauner Park. Like during COVID, they had a couple of really weird decisions by the stewards. And I was just like, you know what? I never bet Fauner, and it's COVID, and I don't need to bet this shit anymore. And I'll just go bet Will Rogers, right? You know what I mean? Like, but I didn't say, well, since Fauner screwed everything up, horse racing is fixed, and I hate everything, and everybody's against me, and I'm not ever betting this again. It's like, it's just all these tracks are all different, like companies, entities, all this, you know what I mean? So it's a strange situation that a few are kind of creating.
It is funny though the way you set that up. It's funny because it's like if they were saying like I don't know if there was a race after the Preakness in a couple weeks that was whatever at Pimlico or whatever, you'd be like, I'm not betting that shit. Okay, I mean I don't. It's dumb still. Don't get me wrong, but I'd be like, I understand why you're being that way, but it's like Naira and New York Racing and even the horses, like shit, they're not part of it. Like, what does it matter? Like
No.
It's not. Stewards are completely, and that's part of the problem, right? It's not like the NFL where it's like, hey, this week they didn't call it, that last week they did, whatever. This is all different, and that's what we live with, unfortunately. But all we know, Naira could have DQ'd, journalism or whoever,
I have no idea.
So it's like, I mean, that's crazy. But I that's a good point. And I imagine most of the people saying they're not going to bet are going to bet at the
absolutely,
because it is horse racing, and at the end of the day, we all are degenerates. So that's what we do. Check us out, guys, at racingdudes.com for all our free picks and our premium selections on our product page. Get that Racing Dudes premium button, and you can go access all our picks and subscriptions. This is a good time I wanted to add this because we are just a week and a half out of the end of the month. Remember, become a subscriber if you haven't already. I know we got a lot of subscribers last week before the Preakness as well as before the Derby. Make sure you are an active subscriber by the end of this month because we will be giving away another $1,000 on June 1st. Just like we did before the Derby, we gave out $1,000 to somebody who was an active subscriber. Now is a great time to be a subscriber with all the racing that's coming up in the next month. You would get the Belmont Betting Bible for free if you subscribe today, as well as be included in the chance to win $1,000 on June 1st. So now is a great time to subscribe as low as $70 a month. We're on Twitter at Racing_Dudes, Instagram, Facebook. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page on the website or anywhere you like to listen to podcasts. We're there. Go to YouTube if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. If you like reading comments, there's a ton of them on every video we do. So if you'd like to be a part of that, Halter's probably not going to comment back, but you can at least comment and get your voice heard. It is cheaper than therapy, as I saw someone say in the chat. So listen, Halter will listen. He won't respond, but he'll see it. So if that's what you're looking for, because part of therapy is just kind of venting and getting you're kind of saying it out loud, writing it on paper. They even say sometimes. And if you do that, like, hey, at least if that can help you out, then we're here for you.
Definitely.
Maybe we need to create an email on the site, like help me at Racing Dude or venting or therapist at racingdudes.com. And it's like, hey, you just email that to whatever you're trying to get off your chest. Email it in, and we can't guarantee we'll respond, but I can guarantee you someone will receive it. How about that?
Yeah, for sure. I'll read it. I promise.
Yeah. I mean, usually it does get some react. I mean, I hate to say it because people might do more now, but it does usually get a reaction from you and I. Meaning, like, look at this and this is here's we have a list. This one's in the top of the list now.
We had somebody that didn't even work here anymore see that email and be like, "Whoa, that's one of the best ones of all time this morning." So,
yep, it's like then I'm like, hey, he probably should. I'm like, meaning the guy that doesn't work here anymore probably shouldn't be getting the emails anymore. I'm like,
that's what I was thinking. I was like, should we just shut that email?
But then I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, that's fine. We'll leave it. It's like it's like giving the keys. Like, hey, you might want to give the keys back. I don't know. Like, you might want to give the key. We'll let him have them for a little.
That's how you know it's a really good friend of yours when you're like, you haven't restricted his access to the website at all. He still gets the emails.
Oh yeah, he could still. Technically, he has the ability to post anything he would want on the website without me or Halterman having any approval of any of it. So,
well.
I just thought of that as I said.
I saw him reply to somebody like, "I'm on leave," and I'm like, "You're on leave? Like, I think you've left for good, haven't you?"
Yeah, it's like, don't tell FanDuel that. I mean, I don't know. Unless it's a leave. It's like when a guy gets, Never mind. I won't go anywhere.
See, I think this is a really good example. So this Cash LA Surf, who's been around forever, I mean, on our website and in chats, he completely disagrees with me. But do you see how he's calm? You can do that. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I completely disagree with him, but I'm not going to call him an idiot.
But you guys don't hate each other, right?
I certainly do not. He's one of my favorite commenters.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know. He keeps coming back here, so I don't think he hates me. And I think we're going to move on past what we have just found out about each other, and probably not even think about it again. So
it's like John said in his article, and it's it's very true. It's okay to have opinions. Like it's actually great because that is what makes. What if we all agreed on the same thing all the time in racing?
Yeah,
that'd be so boring.
Yeah.
Every show, we all agreed on the same horse. We all agreed on the same winner every single race. Even the chat, everyone was on the same horse. That would make things so boring. Like, it's okay to have opinions,
It's like I said at the top of the show. If I got John White, who I respect, and I've got Sebastian, who I respect, and they're both telling me different stuff, that right there is the indication that this is not black and white, and two opinions can stand, and that's okay, And that's the kind of situation it is.
It's the chat. It's been a good one today. So that's all. That's all I can say.
I've loved it.
I've just kind of perused it as we've gone on the show. But all right, guys, that's gonna do it for us. We will be back next week. Obviously, we'll be a week closer to the Belmont. When will they draw? Will they draw it on the weekend before?
Unfortunately, it's going to be Monday.
Oh, that sucks. Okay.
I wish it was Saturday, but at least I read it's going to be Monday. Yeah.
Well, hey, if you guys are going to go, we'll be there. The dudes will be there. Halter and I will be at the Belmont. So if you're going to go, make sure you hit us up. But yeah, so we'll talk more about the Belmont as we get closer, hone in on that. Hopefully we see journalism showing up, but it's been fun to unpack. Fun, maybe used lightly, but to unpack the Preakness with you all. But there we go. We're gonna put a bow on it. We're gonna move forward, guys, as I would ask all of you to do in the chat. Let's all be friends and move forward. All right, guys. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.